There's fewer people here than usual. Usually it's wall to wall packed up here. I'm trying to have a bigger space, right? When I saw the topic, I didn't see Kripamoya sitting here. So I was thinking to tell his daughter, let him know what I'm going to speak about, because I'm going to use the same topic. I've been assigned the same topic. So you'll know what not to speak about tomorrow, because you're in the audience. She's going to be the most attentive person this evening. Tomorrow's Balaram's appearance.
Balaram's
I have to speak about Balaram.
Yes, indeed.
Krishna Balaram.
Yeah.
When you think of Lord Balaram, besides thinking of Krishna Balaram, what do you think of when you think of Lord Balaram? There are a number of things that Prabhupada would say commonly when speaking about Lord Balaram. He's not different than Krishna. Except his color, he's white like snow, and Krishna is black like a fresh monsoon cloud. But they're not different. Krishna's first expansion. You know this language that Prabhupada used, a portion of a plenary portion? You ever wondered what that means? Portion of a plenary portion. Well, one way to understand it is Balaram is the plenary portion, the expansions of Balaram, particularly in the Vishnu Tattva category. That's the portion of a plenary portion. There's further declensions in between, but Krishna in full. And there is one other difference, very important difference. Balaram wants to serve Krishna. Krishna is the object and Balaram is the subject. This is rasa type of terminology. It's just like in grammar, there's a subject and there's an object. So something acting upon something. So Balaram loves to serve. He loves to serve so much, particularly if you visit Vrindavan, you'll find out he served Krishna in all 5 rasas at once. That's pretty unique. Little Prabhupada story. When Prabhupada first came to America, he had Bhagavatam's first canto, pair of kartals, and Radha Krishna deities. Now I've been told, I haven't verified that, but the Krishna Balaram deities are on the altar in New York, the one that Prabhupada brought. And he didn't have Mridanga, so some devotees were going to travel to India, and Prabhupada requested them to buy one Mridanga. I heard this story from HH Romapada. And when the Mridanga came, Prabhupada at that time was in Los Angeles. He was seated behind his desk. And they came in to his room, happy as anything, because it didn't break in transport. And they placed the Mridanga before Srila Prabhupada. And you want to know what he did? Of course you want to know what he did. He immediately got from behind the desk, paid his obeisances to the Mridanga, took off the Uttariya portion of his dhoti, wrapped the dhoti, and said, this is not different than Balaram. And then when the devotees in Los Angeles Radhabhushana in particular started making fiberglass mridangas. They called it what? Balarama Mridanga. Because Balaram manifests paraphernalia for Krishna to use. Just like on the altar, there's sandals or chappals. That's Balaram. And all the paraphernalia it becomes considered tadiya, a worshipful paraphernalia, that scripturally we understand they're manifestations of Lord Balaram. The whole of the abode, everything, Krishna's dhoti, everything that Krishna uses in his pastimes. Guess who manifests them? The one who loves to serve Krishna like anything, although he's not different than Krishna. He does through his potencies, but or Krishna manifests, but Balaram does that service. And in that mode of service, he's always looking for the welfare of Krishna. And he's of the same age as Krishna, so they're intimate friends. Here's a little, I ran across this this past week, speaking about Balaram. Somebody asked a question, maybe you've heard this question before. Of course, Balaram's the elder brother. So, what's the difference of age between Krishna and Balaram? The Vishnu Purana says 1 year, 8 months, 1 year, 8 days, because this is Purnima, and then Ashtami, 1 year, 8 months, 8 days, But Prabhupada writes in Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 2, text number 9, you can look it up. Balaram was 15 days older than Krishna. And Jiva Goswami, in his commentary on that verse, says he was just a few days older than Krishna. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states, in a reasonable way, they were of the same age, a few days apart. And the reasoning is their activities developed together. Krishna was crawling and Balaram was crawling, and they started walking and Balaram was walking, and their developmental stages were identical. So the same age, a few days apart. So he's the older brother, but a few days apart. I don't know exactly how you get 15, it's the Purnima and Ashtami, but in any case. Because when Devaki became married to Vasudeva, there were several others that were simultaneously married, and Rohini was one of those others. And while in the prison house of Kamsa, apparently Rohini was able to pay a visit to her husband because Rohini became pregnant, and Vasudeva had a very dear friend, Nanda Maharaj, who was on the other side of the river Jamuna, and for the safety of his good wife, Rohini, he sent her to be in the care of Nanda Maharaj. Who knows what wicked Kamsa might do, so better his wife is cared for. The safety of Nanda Maharaj, his dear friend. And then we know that during the 7th pregnancy of Devaki, Krishna summoned Yogamaya, who was very happy. Some service. What is it? Multiple service, but the first one was the child that's now in the womb of Devaki is actually Balaram. So please transfer Balaram from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. And you may think he's too heavy, because Balara's heavy. After all, he's the original guru. And guru means heavy, so get it heavy. But you can do it because you might need internal potency. So everyone thought that Devaki had the miscarriage, child number 7. So it's a little, apparently, the pregnancy of Rohini lasted for a long time, more than usual. And in that way, Balarama was born, and some days later, 8 days later, whatever the number of days later, Krishna was born. So Rohini Nandana, Balarama, the son of Rohini, just like Krishna is Devaki Nandana. Rohini Nandana. Is Rohini Nandana still around? Kind of out there somewhere. There's a nice little, what's it called? Anyway, Rohini Nandana. And they were always together. Well, not always together. Balarama went on pilgrimage, as does Lord Nityananda went on pilgrimage. Their pastimes are quite similar. Lord Nityananda, Ram, and Balaram are the same personality, just different forms of the Supreme Lord Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Nityananda is none different than Balaram. But otherwise, they were constant companions from infancy. Constant companions. And he always wanted to do service. He was so expert at serving that he was mischievous Krishna. Mother Jasoda was always looking, as did Sachi wanted. She wanted Balaram to look after Krishna because he was giving protection. He's the elder brother, like parental mood. And Ananga Manjari, if you sometimes visit Vrindavan, and in the Gopinath temple, Radha Gopinath, by the side of Radha and Gopinath, over here is Ananga Manjari. And Ananga Manjari is an expansion of Balarama. He likes to serve. Although they're not different. The same. Except white and shyam. And he likes to serve. But he does that service in such a way that he takes a position that's subordinate to the one who he's serving. Although he's the elder brother, when it was time for the marriage of their younger sister, the name of the younger sister, Krishna and Balara's younger sister, Subhadra. What was Balaram's plan? Marry who? You said it right, I just... She's no way. So another reason to Krishna's sister. Duryodhana. Yeah. So Krishna and Balaram were in constant association, and one thing I wanted to spend some time with was Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur both spoke about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, specifically in terms of their killing of demons. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur's teaching is that Krishna was assisting his devotee by removing obstacles on the path of devotion manifested in the form of particular demons. Like the first of the demons that was killed by Krishna was Putana. Putana representing false teachings and false teachers. So Krishna helps the devotee by removing the obstacle of false teachings and false teachers by his act of killing Putana. This is our great Acharya and his son, Bhaktisiddhanta, both speaking and writing on the same message. And so forth, each of the demons that Krishna dealt with. There's one pastime that occurred twice where Krishna is extinguishing forest fire. Two different occasions. Forest fire. And the forest fire was engulfing the cows and the cowherd boys or the cowherd community. In the case of right after the Kaliya serpent was killed, they spent the night at the banks of the river Jamuna. And because Krishna said, we're so far from Nanda's palace, and we're here by the side of the Jamuna. Jamuna is our life and soul anyway. Let us just spend the night here. So they spent the night there. And a big blazing forest fire came, surrounding the cows. So what did Krishna do? He told the cowherd boys, close your eyes. You're in for a big surprise. The forest fire was gone. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the protection that Krishna was exhibiting was the protection of conflict between groups of devotees. Now, in ISKCON that never happens, right? Conflict between groups of devotees never happens. But if something like that were to ever happen, the protection of Krishna is there in the course of one who takes shelter of him by protecting us in that way from the forest fires, the conflagration of groups having dissension with one another. And they explained each of the pastimes of Krishna's killing demons. And notice that in the case of Balaram, there are two demons that Balaram killed that Krishna didn't kill. And there's some particular reasons given by our acharyas, and that is, in these two particular cases, Balaram, who's the original spiritual master, I'm saying this a few times because if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you'll find that's a very strong message in Adi Lila. Balaram is the original spiritual master, and those that perform that function or the service of spiritual master are giving the strength or the power, the capacity to do that service by original spiritual master. They're representing him. In fact, there's a really nice passage I like very much, especially at Balaram's appearance day. I like to read it again and again, year after year. It's from Krishna book in chapter 2, which is the same of the prayers of the demigods of Lord Krishna within the womb. That same section that speaks of Balarama was just 15 days older than Krishna. So from the Krishna book version, Prabhupada writes that Bala means strength. Then he says, not physical strength. To be successful in spiritual life, one requires spiritual strength. And spiritual strength comes from Balarama. So if you want to be successful in spiritual life, I think we all want to be successful in spiritual life, you require the mercy of Balarama. So pray to Lord Balarama for spiritual strength, so you can be successful in carrying out your service to Krishna, because it requires spiritual strength. So Balarama will give us the spiritual strength to overcome these two particular obstacles in spiritual life. The two demons that Balarama kills represents two activities or dangers in our spiritual path that we have to be especially attentive to. And not just Krishna takes care of false teachings and teachers and conflagrations, we sit back and relax. We have to do some effort in all of the areas of devotional service, but these two in particular require special attention and special strength from Lord Balarama to help us. And those two demons that in the Vrindavan pastimes that Balarama killed were Dhenukasura and Brahmavasura. And Dhenuka was one of Kamsa's buddies. Now Kamsa, he was very powerful. Very similar to Ravana. Kamsa toured the whole countryside. Ravana is described in Ramayana, he traveled the universe. Kamsa traveled all over the place, and he was so powerful that he would destroy entire armies single-handedly and leave just the king facing him and give him two choices. You become subservient to me and assist me in my mission, or I'll kill you. Which one would you like? So some people understood he's very powerful. I should align myself with this powerful Kamsa. He was so powerful, amazingly powerful. Here's a little story of how Kamsa became married to the two daughters of Jarasandha. Like you hear that story? Kamsa's powerful. That's the... But, okay, so Jarasandha was out hunting, using his mighty arms and his prowess as a fighter and warrior. And he was hunting wild animals in the wilderness. And one of those wild animals that he captured alive was as big as 10 elephants' elephant, named Kovalyapida. You've heard that name before. So he chained Kovalyapida, stakes and chains, and wrapped around his legs, and they went off to do other conquests. And Kovalyapida pulled out the stakes and started running away. And the soldiers were following behind him. And he ran and came to a place where Kamsa had a camp. He had just finished defeating other kings and soldiers. And when Kovalyapida came to where Kamsa was camped, he picked him up, whirled him around, and threw him several miles in the air. He went crash landing right at Jarasandha's camp. Jarasandha thought, wow, that was good. Whoever did that, I want to find out who did that. So he went to where Kamsa's camp was, and he congratulated him. I've never seen anybody so powerful as you. I'd like to reciprocate with your powerful capacity and give you as a gift. Kovalyapida is yours, and my two daughters are yours for marriage. Wonderful alliance, two powerful kingdoms now brought together by marriage. That was part of the program in those days. Very powerful. But Krishna was so powerful, just with one, he killed him. And that didn't just like knock him down. He was finished. This same concept was so powerful. So one of the powerful persons that Kamsa had dominated was Pralamba. And Pralamba had mystic power. He could transform himself, excuse me, Dhenukha, we'll do not Dhenukha first. He could transfer himself into different shapes. So to assist Kamsa, he was in the Palavan forest. And so the tal fruits were so sweet, it was king's property only fruits. So Dhenukha and his other friends, who also had this same mystic power, they were protecting Kamsa's tal fruit garden. The cowherd boys wanted the fruits. They went in and Krishna shook the tree and the fruits fell. Dhenukha came charging. There's different versions of this other than what we find in Krishna book and Bhagavatam, but I'll just do the short version because of time. There's a Vrindavan version, Dinabandhu version is really nice, but skip that one. Balarama caught him by his hind leg, whirled him around and around, and threw him up on the top of one of the tall trees. And when he fell on the top of the tall tree, that tall tree fell on another tall tree, and many tall fruits fell to the ground. So the boy said tall fruits, and the other past demons came, and the same thing happened. But Balarama killed him, not Krishna. Because I got confused already, I don't want to do it again twice. There's a nice description in Garga Samhita that Dhenukha represents, this is now Bhakti Vinod Thakur, gross materialistic intelligence, the Maya Parityajnana personalities from Bhagavad Gita chapter 7. 4 types of persons never surrender to Krishna, and one of them is the Maya Parityajnana, intellectual people, learned people, scientists, poets, philosophers, brainy people that are atheistic. They'll never understand Krishna. They'll never take shelter of Krishna. They're fundamentally ignorant of spiritual knowledge, although they have substantial gross material intelligence. Now, consider, those of you that have read Prabhupada's books or heard his lectures or both, how much time did he spend on that topic? A lot of time on that topic. Another little Prabhupada story. Those of us in the room who are Prabhupada disciples certainly remember when 5th Canto was published. Prabhupada visited New York shortly after 5th Canto was published, and then a group of devotees from New York went with Prabhupada to Montreal and Toronto and some places in Canada. And there was a whole group of devotees that every day they were reading 5th Canto and then questioning Prabhupada, badgering Prabhupada with questions about 5th Canto. You know, you said this, how do we understand this, because the scientists say that. At least one report was that Prabhupada, I heard it from 2 different persons, Prabhupada said, I deliberately was confronting the blind faith that the Western world has in science. Purposefully, intentionally. Prabhupada said to devotees who were in that group, said, this is the greatest obstacle for spreading Krishna consciousness. Of course, he could have said it about something else too, but blind faith that people have in the Maya Pratyagyani folks. Because if science says something, then people believe. But if scripture says something, people question. So he was questioning what the scientists say. By reason and logic, not any other thing. I remember one morning walking, this is the glories of Lord Balarama, by the way. One morning walking Vrindavan, Prabhupada was in a particular mood, and he held, as he would sometimes do, held his head back a little bit, was looking around at everybody, saying, I have a theory, prove me wrong. He was being Mr. Scientist, saying, I have a theory, prove me wrong. There's fire on the moon, and that's why the moon shines, but it's cool flame. Prove me wrong. And then you elaborated on why he was saying that, then repeating, prove me wrong. He didn't say that what he was doing is that's what the scientists do. I just took it that's what he was doing. This is what the scientists do. On the authority of what? The authority of their authority, of the power to use words, and because the scientist says we're supposed to believe it. No, back to Yena-Asura. Balaram, being the original spiritual master, will give us the strength to confront this great obstacle. The Maya Pratyanis of the world that have ownership of these science textbooks and ownership of a lot of other things. That, all the children that are born in our country, probably in the UK, unless you go to some special school, you have to take this curriculum that says what the scientists say. And you can't have curriculum that says here's another option, at least in the public schools. It's sad, but true. So it requires spiritual strength. And where we get that spiritual strength from Balarama to address something, this is my understanding, it's something that we have to get it inside, acknowledge that this is a problem. It's not like everything the scientist says is wrong. It's not that everything the scientist says is right. And we need to know the authoritative system that we have is this descending knowledge coming from Apaurushaya Shabda, from a transcendental source descending into our realm. And by receiving that, there's strength. One can have spiritual strength just from that. Balaram gives that. Pray to Balaram for that strength. Not blind challenging or blind faith, either way. It's some spiritual work that we have to do. And Balaram will give us the strength to be successful in the face of those difficulties. Now, Garga Samhita describes who was Dhenuka in his previous life. He was somebody. The Garga Samhita says he was the son of Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj was the son of Virochana, and Virochana was the son of Prahlad Maharaj. So, Prahlad Maharaj, Virochana, Bali Maharaj, and his son was named Sahasika. Sahasika. A little proud, licentious and proud. And one time on the side of the Ganga Manana mountain, he was enjoying some pastimes with 10,000 young women. He was a little out of control. And there was a lot of singing and dancing and birth and noise, and not far away was Durvasa Muni engaged in meditation in Ganga Manana mountain. It disturbed his meditation. So into the scene comes Durvasa Muni, who cursed Sahasika. You fool, you ass. That's what it says. You should become an ass. I curse you, you'll become an ass. And Sahasika fell at Durvasa Muni's feet, saying, please be merciful. He was pleased by the words of the king, who then said, very well, I give you this benediction that later you will become relieved of this demon body by taking care of my Lord Balarama. Narada Muni is narrating this. Narada Muni said, because Hiranyakashipu had promised to Prahlad that I won't destroy any of your descendants, he had Balarama do it. Krishna keeps his word. And then, so it's a big obstacle on the path of spiritual success or spiritual progress, is blind faith in those that have no spiritual vision but have intellectual capacity. It's a big problem. You know, one kind or another kind is a big problem. And Pralambasura was the other demon. Now I'm just sticking with what Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wrote. They wrote and published Bhaktisiddhanta, the harmonist, in essays, publication after publication, simply following the teachings of his father, Krishna Samhita and other writings. Pralambasura represents lusty inclinations, or Labha Puja Pratishta, the desire for special recognition. Pralamba also had the capacity, he was a buddy of Kamsa, had the capacity to change his shape. So he changed his shape. He was sent by Kamsa as a little cowherd boy. Krishna recognized right away, this isn't one of the cowherd boys. But Balarama was purposefully, for the purpose of Krishna's pastimes, enjoying the pastimes so much, they had wrestling pastimes, and the game was whoever lost had to carry the one who won on their shoulders. So Sridham regularly would beat Krishna, and Krishna would have to carry Sridham. One of my godbrothers, I remember from when we first got Nectar Devotion, he would say this over and over again, laughing. Sridham would say, what kind of big man are you? You always lose. And he'd slap his side. Now these are cowherd boys that are very dear, intimate associates from Krishna, and some of them would just not only not see him as the personality of God, but call him like a small fry. What kind of big man are you? You always lose. So Sridham was carrying, Krishna was carrying Sridham because Sridham was the winner. And Balarama was the winner, so Pralamba had lost, and Pralamba was carrying Balarama. And he started going away from where all the other cowherd boys, and the narration goes that Balarama was having a good time. It's a nice ride. It's lots of fun. And Krishna tried to catch Balarama's attention, but Balarama was too much absorbed in having all that fun. He just kept going and deeper into the forest. And slowly, the body of Pralamba started getting bigger and bigger, and his little cowherd boy imitation form transformed into this humongous feature of Pralambasura. They started rising into the air to take Balarama away and kill Balarama, not possible. When the description is slowly, this is Yogamaya, slowly Balaram started to understand, wait a minute, this isn't a coward boy, this is a demon. And just with one blow of his fist, finished Palamba, who went tumbling from the air and smashed on a rock below, finished. Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta indicate this particular feature. Palambasura represents lusty inclinations and desire for personal gain and honor. This is a big problem in those who are trying to progress in spiritual life. And we require strength from Lord Balaram to overcome it. If you read carefully, a very nice, one of the many nice books of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is Madhurya Kandamini, in the section where he's describing overcoming anarthas. The fourth category is anarthas that arise from a little success in spiritual life. And one gets a little success in spiritual life, one tries to be the enjoyer of that little success in spiritual life. It's coming from spiritual life, not from you. It's the mercy of Krishna. But try to be the enjoyer of that with pride in the heart, or desire honor and fame and recognition. Just discussing with one devotee that need that they have for some kind of recognition, and they know it's Maya, but they have, it just keeps coming and keeps coming. We need Balaram's spiritual strength to overcome that. And the strength of the mood of humble service is that strength. Because otherwise, we'll go into this other place. Another phrase that Vishwanath uses, Taranga Rangani. Ranga means wave, just like Ranganath. He's the Lord of waves. Lord Vishnu is lying on the ocean, enjoying the waves, Ranganath. And Rangini is diminutive, small waves. Taranga Rangani, one who tries to be the enjoyer of a little success in spiritual life, and somebody says, oh, Prabhu, you've made such nice arrangements for the Janmashtami festival, decorating the temple room so that it was like the prison house of Kamsa by the side of the river Jamuna. It was really fantastic. We worked really hard. We did a good job. Of course, you wouldn't think like that. Or this system of making the announcements, it's such an improvement. Wow. Whoever the team was, okay, yeah, I'm getting a little recognition. It's about time. We've been working really hard. Finally somebody's recognizing we're working really hard. I see he's an intelligent person. It's a big obstacle on the path of spiritual life to hanker for that, assimilate that. What time am I supposed to end? Can I tell a story? Okay. Once upon a time I was a brahmachari. For a long time I was a brahmachari. And I liked being brahmachari. And then my GBC said, guess what? You've been approved to take sannyas. I didn't even know that there was a system. I didn't know anything. I was just happy being a brahmachari. I said, I don't need to be a sannyasi. I said, oh, you're attached. So what are you talking about? Then I understood later, we said, oh, maybe you want to get married, so you don't want to become a sannyasi. That's what he meant. But, well, it'll increase your preaching. I have so much preaching, I can't do it all, so I don't need to increase my preaching. So they kept, the devotees kept saying, you should take sannyas because of the, all right, I'll take sannyas. Actually, one of the reasons I didn't want to do it is because I saw before me many persons who were eager for that position, and I thought that was disgusting. In my book, that's a disqualification. You want to get some position like that. Particularly a renounced order of life. For what? To get some recognition in society? Forget it. Anyway, so I became a sannyasi. Is that all right? Within 3 days, the initiation took place. Then, here's what it's like to become a sannyasi, for those of you that aren't. The very day that I took sannyas, now that I'm carrying it down to wearing the sannyas dhoti, everyone pays obeisances. So, I was trained as a brahmachari, you pay obeisances. And they said, no, you're not supposed to pay obeisances. I said, who said you're not supposed to pay obeisances? Where's that in scripture? Pay obeisances. That's how I was trained, you pay obeisances. And then, some time passed, and I finally understood. It took a while, a little slow. They're not paying obeisances to me. They're paying obeisances to the ashram that I'm representing. So my service is to represent the ashram properly. It's not to me, it's to the ashram. It's the sannyas order of life. And that's good for society to have persons that are properly representing any ashram, and then people offer respect because they're properly representing that ashram. So if you're grihastha, be an ideal grihastha, or at least be a quality, be an exemplary grihastha. And such person should be offered all respect by all members of society. Be an ideal Vaishnava, and like that. However, if you get respect because you're an ideal or proper householder, or whatever you are, it's not for you. The appreciation goes to one who qualified you to do what you're doing. That's what it goes to. Otherwise, it's a big obstacle. Because don't be successful in spiritual life, that's a problem. Be successful, that's a problem. You think you're the enjoyer of that little success. What's the protection? Lord Balarama. This is a glory of Lord Balarama. Pray to him for spiritual strength. That your mood of service is so strong. It's not for you. It's for the person being served, and you're the instrument of one who is behind you, giving you the capacity to do that service. In all of our cases, it's our founder, Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We'd be somewhere doing something, but we wouldn't be here. We're here because of our founder, Acharya's great power and great strength, trying to protect us. As Krishna was protecting by killing these demons in Vrindavan, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhakti Siddhanta, and Balarama also. He'll protect us. Bhakti protects us. The mood of service will protect us in these very important ways. So I'm going to end so that you can hear tomorrow evening from Kitamoya Prabhu more about the glories of Lord Balarama on his appearance day, no less. I'll ask Ramchandra, could you make an arrangement for a recording of tomorrow's class and you send it to me? I'll be listening remotely. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
So let's thank Maharaj again for narrating the beautiful pastimes of Lord Balarama. So once again, please come tomorrow to celebrate this most important event. Balarama is Adi Guru, and without his mercy, getting Krishna's mercy is not possible. Without Lord Nityananda's mercy, Lord Nityananda is none other than Balarama. Lord Mahaprabhu's mercy is not possible. So let's come celebrate his appearance day with full enthusiasm. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna is sound outside. So please, the curtains will open again at 8:30. Hare Krishna.
Still on or?
Yes, still on. How do you want?
Recording or not?
Yeah, it's recording.
Yes. My mom was white and daughter. Yes, they don't understand.